Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss about Bhagavad-Gita Sloka 10.2, chapter 10, verse 2. So I will recite the verse and read the translation. I read the word to word meaning, translation and purport now. After that we will go into the detailed discussion. न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः न never may my viduhu no suraganaha the demigods prabhavam origin opulences na never maharshayah great sages aham I am adihi the origin he certainly Devanam of the demigods, Maharshinam of the great sages, Cha also, Sarvashaha in all respects. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand his name, neither his name nor his personality. So what is the position of the so-called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why this supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and great sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also it is clearly stated that even the great demigods are not able to understand the limits of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature, or they can imagine something by mental speculation, but it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in the Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of the Supreme Personality that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother about the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord, and out of the causeless mercy of Krishna they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is he whom we have to worship. So now we will get into our discussion, and we should understand that the Supreme Lord cannot be understood by anybody, including the hosts of demigods nor the great sages. He is understood by, he is captured by the transcendental loving devotional service performed unto him by his unalloyed pure devotees, and nectar is with those kind of devotees. Actually, nectar is not in the ocean, because nectar was churned from the ocean. But if nectar was actually there in the ocean, why would the ocean be salty? So nectar is not there over there. Nectar is not there in a place like the moon. Moon has somarasa, which is equivalent to the which is equivalent to drinking nectar, but it still does not have nectar, because if it actually had nectar, why would the waxing and waning of the moon take place? So there is no nectar here. And in the face of a newly married girl, there is also nectar. It is thought like that, but the husband who is drinking this nectar, he dies very fast, so this cannot be nectar. And in the Sarpaloka, or with the serpents, there would be nectar. That's what, again, another answer. But this answer is also not true, because if serpents actually had nectar with them, why would their throat be poisonous? Why would they carry poison with them? So like this, many answers are given. Like this, 5 answers are given, and all of them have some or the other defect, by which they cannot be called a place where there is, in which there is nectar. But nectar is with the devotees who actually read the scriptures, chant the holy name, and relish in these things. So they provide us with Madhuradipati. They give us Madhuradipati, or person who fully has nectar with him, Krishna, who is full of sweetness. Now, actually, Lord is present at the place where people glorify him, because is Lord present in the Dham? Not exactly. For is he present in the deities? Yes, but one has to reciprocate. Only then one will understand that the Lord is present in the deities. Is he there in the scriptures? No, because scriptures tell how to get Krishna. They don't have Krishna. They can't give Krishna to us. So he is there at the place where his devotees glorify him, where in a gathering of his devotees. Yatra gayanti madbhaktaha tatra tishtami narada. So we should discuss the instructions of the Supreme Lord whenever we meet with his unalloyed devotees. And the aim to read this Bhagavad-Gita is to please Krishna and not material gain. So this material gain, whatever will come, it is secondary. And we must read also Bhagavad-Gita also in the association of devotees, by which we can understand it better. And Bhagavad-Gita chapter 10 gives something called Bhagavata Jnana, or opulence of the Absolute himself. So the question is that how can we love a person whose opulence we do not know? And hence Krishna explains about his opulences here in this 10th chapter. And also in the Sloka 9.34, the last verse of the 9th chapter, Krishna says, engage your mind in thinking of him. We should become his devotee, we should offer obeisances to him, and we should worship him. So Arjuna is worried that how will he remember Krishna in this material world, where that is a problem. Remembering Krishna is a problem in this material world. So this is why Krishna is explaining about his opulences in this chapter, so that we all can get an idea of how to remember him by seeing every single thing. For example, among the Vedas, whenever he is the Sama Veda, so whenever we remember Krishna, Vedas, at that time we can remember Krishna. So we can always remember Krishna like this, and follow Bhagavad-Gita 9.34 easily. So now here Krishna is saying that neither the hosts of the demigods nor the great sages know his opulences. For in every respect, he is the source of the demigods and the sages. So, are there any instances where demigods and great sages have been puzzled about the identity of the Supreme Lord? Yes, we have such instances. Because the first is Brahma in Brahma Vimohan Leela. Brahma in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he was thinking ki this boy, how can he be Narayana? He is coming down and Narayana is the supreme controller, and he himself is rather than controlling, he himself is stealing the butter from the houses of the gopis and breaking butter pots. How can he be the supreme Lord? So he doubted Krishna. He didn't recognize the Lord. Again, 10.2 Bhagavad Gita. Indra in Govardhan Leela, he was thinking, hey, this small boy, how can he be Narayan? Why is he worshipping Govardhan hill rather than worshipping me? I am supposed to be worshipped because I am giving rain. So he didn't recognize Krishna. And Indra in the Parijata pastime, Indra we see again and again. There are instances where he did not recognize the Lord. In the Parijata pastime, Satyabhama wanted Parijata flower, but Krishna, he took the whole tree. He said that we'll take the whole tree back. We'll bring the whole tree to earth. So at that time, this very same Indra who had learnt his lesson at the time of Govardhan Leela, he again fought with Krishna. So again he didn't recognize the identity of the Lord. So it's not that we should blame Indra or we should criticize Indra or we should lose respect for Indra. It is just that Indra is being made as an instrument to teach us what not to do. So we should always remain in the association of devotees so that we maintain this feeling in our heart that we are worshipping the Supreme Lord. We have this recognition whom we are worshipping. So again, another example is Brahmanas of Raja in Govardhan Leela. Because those Brahmanas, they were so great, but they did not recognize the Lord when the Lord said that we are supposed to do worship Govardhan hill. So this is again another example. So there is this very nice story about Akbar and Birbal. Akbar asked Birbal that why does your Lord have to come himself in every from time to time? Why can't he send some of his messengers just like Lord Allah sent Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Jesus Christ was considered to be the Son of God. Just like that, Akbar was asking, why doesn't Krishna send some of his messengers? Why does he come himself from time to time? So Birbal did not say anything and he waited for a few days. And at that time, Akbar was a few days later, long story short, Birbal threw Akbar's son in the water. And Akbar himself, he just plunged into the water body to save his son. And he found that it was just a doll in the shape of his son. So he got very angry. Birbal, why did you do this? So he said, to answer your question, my dear king, because we all are present here, why did you have to go personally? He said, it is my son, that's why I had to go. So similarly, Birbal said that the Supreme Lord says, this is my son, these are my children, and hence I have to go to protect them. So this was another story in connection to this. Yes, Prabhupada has written in the purport that because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yeah. Now, the Lord. So now the question is, how do we understand the energies of the Lord? How do we understand the Supreme Lord when great sages and great demigods don't? We should approach the Lord with service attitude. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. He is very difficult to understand if we don't approach with service attitude. And the highest title that these conditioned souls like ourselves should be attached to is called Das. And we should be attached to it. In the material world, the higher the post, the higher the load, the higher the exploitation. But in the spiritual world, this is not the case. And by service only, devotees get Krishna consciousness. The Lord and us both are pleased. If service is not there, we cannot understand the Lord simply by speculation, as these unscrupulous commentators and speculators are doing. We cannot understand the Lord just like that. Because everything is revealed to a person who is sincerely endeavoring and practicing. And we will also be transferred from the material to the spiritual world. Big sages cannot understand Krishna, as it is mentioned in this verse. But devotees who approach him with service attitude, who recognize who he is, they can understand him. And we have to give equal importance to sadhana and service, because sadhana means eating prasadam, chanting, reading Prabhupada books, all are one. And this service is also sadhana. We should not lose spirit for service, and we should not lose service attitude. Then we will get more service if we perform service. And this is the award. Prabhupada writes at one place, service is the reward of service. The Lord gives us more and more and more service. So this was the way where neither the great sages nor the demigods can understand about the Supreme Lord, and we should approach him with service attitude. Then only we can understand. And these so-called unscrupulous commentators, they have their own way of presentation, but they at the end of the day do not understand the Supreme Lord, and for their benefit only, the Supreme Lord has to again incarnate from time to time to show favor to such speculators. So this was the end of Bhagavad-Gita Sloka 10.2, chapter 10, verse 2. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranams.